Okay, hello guys, and welcome back to Amakada online training. Okay, so welcome to the sewing of our Ankara waist cincher belt. You can actually make it a waist cincher, like the amount of elastic, really, that's what makes it hold your waist. So if you really want it to hold your waist, like I said earlier, you need to, I said in the cutting class, you need to reduce your elastic. Okay, so I've taken the liberty to, and also if you really want it to be that belt that really holds you like a corset, right? You're going to have to put your bonings. So I can create bonings all over here, right? You can do that, is to give you that cinch effect. Okay, so I've also taken the liberty to iron on wording to it. So I want to give it strength, so that's why I ironed on the wording. Like I said, you can put on your Regilin boning. Regilin boning, you can sew on it, like the plastic one. So all that will just help give you that cinch effect at the waist. I'm still trying to decide if I want to do that, and if I have to do that, I may likely end up maybe putting loops, probably, or I'm still trying to think of what I want to do, or maybe put a zip um, at this point. So it all depends on, so however you want it to be, you're at liberty to do that. Okay. So I have cut my lining. For the parts I'm going to do um, gathers with, so I reduced my lining. Okay. So that by the time I turn it, it's going to, I'll have a neater hem. Anyway, you'll see that. Okay. So I'm going to take one after the other. So first of all, I'll sew this and show you. I want to believe this lining, I cut it into, this one is looking like it is one. Let's just start praying. Badura. Okay, so it came out. Okay. So guys, this is the smaller side, all right? And I'm placing my lining on the right side, because we're going to sew from the right side and flip it to the other side. Okay, so now pick any side to be the hem of your lining, any side you want. All right, so any edge, rather, either the down or the up, is the same thing. Okay, so I'll start here, can pin it down. I'm sewing at I kept 1 inch though, but I'm sewing at half of an inch because I just need more down there. So backstage, when you start sewing, and then sew all the way down at half of an inch. Okay. So having done that, I'm going to, at the smaller side, I also want to seal it, because that's the side, okay, sorry, the smaller side is the waist side, but the bigger side is where it's going to be showing. So I also need to seal it, but after doing this down part, just move your fabric. See, move the lining to, I've not flipped, it's still the same side, but move the lining to be equal with the top part and align the side properly. You see that there's going to be, the main fabric will have an excess going, downwards. So see how it's going to be, right? So I've had the lining going up and this coming. So just make sure that the top part aligns, and then you stitch down. Stitch down at whatever you kept. You stitch at half of an inch. Always back stitch when you start. Make sure that the lining is properly aligned. So now, because it's gathers, it doesn't really matter if it's half of an inch or 1 inch. It doesn't really matter. And then the side also, because the side is just staying there, it's not attached. It's just hanging down from the band. You're also going to be sealing the side. So also try to align your lining to the main fabric and let it stay as, you know, as is. Don't force it. When you align, however the down part stays, leave it there. And then stitch close also. You can close at a quarter, you can close at half. I already have enough, you know, and it's gathered, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. So once you're done with all that, move it, you know, turn the right side out. So try to neaten it. You take it to your ironing board and give it a good press. So turn it out. So once you turn it out, you're going to be having it looking this lovely. Alright? So you take it and give it a good press, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so like I said, you should give it a good press, right? So I've done that. So once you've done that, you now set your machine to the gathered stitches, right? Because we are going to run gathers on it. You can use your hand. Like when I'm making ball gowns, I prefer to use my hands to, as in thread and needle, to run the gathers. Okay. So anyone that works for you is just fine. Okay. So turn it to the very last gather stage, and then just sew down. Okay. So just sew all the way down. Okay. So I'm done. So before I pull, for me, I like finding a midpoint, you know, so I know where I'm actually pulling it to. Or you can also pin and then you pull, so however you want it. You can also sew 2 stitches and then you pick and pull them. But please, when you're pulling, you just have to be very careful, right? So I'm going to just pull all this and I'll come back and show you. Okay, so I'm done gathering. So this is what it looks when you gather it. All right, so now you can actually before you add on the gathers, you can actually start by putting this. Remember I said, now this you can neaten it if you don't want, like I want to use a black fabric to put here. I just want to turn this to have this black look, so this will be my last pot of call. Okay, so my first pot of call is this. So let me just take this out of the way and then we'll start with this. So now this belt is coming here, right? So I'm going to put this belt like this. Have you seen the way I've put it? Then we need to sew on it. So I'll bring this part and then I'm putting it this way. Right? So we are stitching on it. I kept 1 inch of an allowance, and I've done same. I also added 1 inch to the belt. So you need to centralize this belt and make sure that you're having ½ an inch on both sides out. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do. So make sure, because you need to really centralize it, make sure that it's at the center. So when you do that, to be on the safe side, you can actually pin down, right, once you're sure, and then take this other piece and place over it as well. Okay, so when you place, you can pin or you can sew directly, anyone that you feel comfortable doing. Okay, so I have pinned. Pinning is just so that it doesn't move, so you just keep it in place. And like I said, remember I kept 1 inch. You don't have to, you can actually keep ½ an inch, you know, so you, as not to waste fabric, but I'm just looking with the 1. Now why I keep 1 most times is just in case, you know, you run into any issue, you have what to work with. That is what you're going to have. Down here, I'm going to be putting the gather. So you're going to do this for the two sides, right? So once you've done this, remember I said this is going to be like this, right? So this is going to be the back and this is the front. Now we're going to put in our gathered fabric as well. So you need to try to find which side is the smaller side. Remember I said the smaller side is at the smaller side, the bigger side is at the bigger side. Sorry, I'm just pushing that so it doesn't get confused. So we're going to try to fit this into this. Do you understand? So I'm going to flip. This is going to stay this way, so I'm flipping it up this way. So when you flip it up, you're going to try to fit this before we turn it to sew. We're going to try to fit, make sure this stays. So what I do, I pin this edge, I pin this edge as well, and I spread it to make sure that it actually stays. Okay. So this is what I'm doing. I like opening up my seam, you know, and I'm going to actually reinforce my stitches because I'm seeing some holes there. So I'll do that and I'll come right back and show you. Okay, so I've pinned this edge and I'm also pinning this edge, but this edge I'm pinning, I'm making sure that I'm just pinning at, you know, my either 1 inch or half an inch or whatever you had kept, because I'll be sewing this off as well. Okay. So because I'll be sewing that off, you know, I've shifted it away from it so that when I'm stitching it doesn't get in the way. Okay. So once you've done that, if the spread like is too you can actually pull more. So you can actually hold this and try to adjust this more. Okay, so that's just it. Adjust it till I'll just take that off so I can adjust it properly. Okay, so when I feel I'm okay, you can pin it back. So that's it. So adjust it and spread it nicely so it really stays very nice on it. Okay. So that's what I'm doing. Just arrange it because you're going to be sewing at half an inch. So please arrange your gathers very well. Make sure they come looking lovely. You know, so that's what I'm actually doing. So by the time you're done sewing, it comes out looking very lovely. So once you're sure you've done that well, most times I prefer to pin so that by the time I'm putting the other one on top, it lays and I'm just pulling off my pins. And I love arranging it properly. Okay. So I just love pinning down once I've properly arranged. It makes it gives you a better look when you're done. So learn to arrange your gathers to always bring your clients back. This part now, this part is going to close over it like this, right? And you're going to stitch on your half of an inch all the way down. Okay, so I'll now be stitching on my half of an inch. Like I said, you can open up your, you know, you can put it this way so that you're not having too much bulk, right? So I'm sewing at half of an inch. You can actually also make it a quarter of an inch. It all depends on what you want. Remember, I kept half of an inch, so I'll sew on that. So I'll stitch it all the way down and I'll show you. Okay, so like I had said, you put it over it and then you stitch. So when you do that, you know, there's another thing, but I just want to show you because we still need to seal this top part. then this side will stay open. Okay, but let's just see what this looks like. I just want to reduce this a bit. So already this is what we're already having, you know, what we want. So like I had said earlier on too, when you're done you can remove your gather stitches. If you don't want this as long as this, you reduce it. But already we are getting, see our back, is it not looking lovely already? You know, look at that, look at that, look at that. So this one you're turning, unlike me, be very careful, you know. So this one side, and then we are going to be turning the other side. All right, so when we're done, when you're done turning, before you pull this out, like I said, we need to neaten this part, right? So I'll still push everything inside again, and then I'll neaten the top part. So I'm going to push everything back. It's good to do this as good as you can, because to loosen it and redo is a whole lot of work. Okay, so it's to push this in, because this has to stay totally in, and then we are going to seal this top part. We're going to sew it and seal it. Okay guys, so you're supposed to do the same thing, but I needed to show you this. So now we finished this side. This is how it looks. Okay, so now we want to fix this side, so I had to keep it to show you. So that's just it. So you're also going to keep this way, take your belt, flip it over just like I showed you the other one. Okay, try and centralize it, pin it, and then bring this over it. So it's the very same thing. So we'll start the same way we did the other one, right? And we're going to stitch at the 1 inch that you kept. So if it's half an inch, you know, whatever. Then when you're done, I'm going to show you how to also put, it's the very same thing though, but let's go. Okay guys, so I've fixed, you know, this is the back and this is the front. Okay, so it's the same thing I did. So now the only opening left is here. So I've knitted the whole top part like I had said. So what I now want to do is, I had said I just want a bit of black in mine, right? So I'm trying to look for the part I'm using. Okay, so I'm going to be using this, you know. So this is what I meant. I'm just using this like you do bias, right? So I'm flipping this over at the top. So that's what I want for this. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to attach it here. So at half of an inch, right? And then I'll flip it over. So you can just measure. I don't know what I cut here. I just cut a piece. There was no actual measurement to it. Okay, so that's about 2 1/4. So you can cut less. I'm going to be finishing it at the front side. So remember, we have half of an inch left at that point. Okay, so you need to neaten the top when you're sewing, so it also looks neat. It can be bulky, so you need to be careful. At times when I stitch, I can trim off one part, you know. So I'm doing this just to be sure that I have enough. Okay, like I said, I didn't do any measurement when I was cutting, so I have to just be careful. So I folded that part in, and I'm going to be sewing at half of an inch. I've also shifted it in, like I said, because I don't really have enough piece. So since I know where my half an inch is, I've taken this in 1/4 just to give me more fabric to work with. Okay. All right, so I'll now place this at my half of an inch. So I'll sew. So like I said, I'm shifting this so that I have enough fabric to play with. But I'm still sewing at half of an inch, but I'm just making my black less. that's it. So I'm now going to flip it to my front. So I'm using it to knit in. So fold this in, like I said, just like you do bias, and then bring it, but please let it cover the stitch line. It's very important that it covers your stitch line. So you bring it over and then you stitch it all the way down. So I'm going to do it for the two sides and then show you. Okay, so I'm done. So like I said, this finishing can be however you want it to be. So this is what I did with mine. Okay, so I just wanted that look there. So after that, I'm going to put in my hook and eye, so that that's how it's going to be, with the hook and eye. So that you're going to give it a good press, and if you have any other thing you use, you can share with us as well. Okay, so that's it for our waist cincher belt. All right, so make yours and let me see, and don't forget to subscribe and give me a like. Just show me love, and turn on your notification bell, so whenever I upload any video, you'd be able to see it as well. So I'll be